restless, forged in the heat of battle. The passion, the danger, her courage will change the world.
Hello, it is me, Larissa, and I'm typing Lucy Lawless this evening, who is an icon as far as I'm concerned. If you grew up watching Xena, she was also an iconic character in Spartacus. She was obviously in Hercules. If you know Xena, you know Hercules. She was in Battlestar Galactica, another amazing show. She was in Ash versus Evil Dead, or whatever it was called. She's in like a shit ton of. She's always plays really campy kind of characters too. She brings me a lot of joy to watch. So I initially, before I like tried to watch videos and type her, I was like, well, she's probably going to be one of the weirdo types, or just like maybe she's just a 7 or something, because there's something kind of odd about her, like in the most loving way. I find her super oddball. And when I was watching videos, I was like, I don't think this is 7 head. I really don't think this is 6 head. I think she's got a 5 head. And I don't think that that's her core, but I think she's one of the kind of more maybe rarer combos. Without further ado, this is the lovely Lucy Lawless. Just like cursorily, is that a word, looking at her? She kind of looks in the 7, 8, 8, 7 space. Like she's sort of got like a bit of a kind of evil, scary thing going on. But that's not actually what she's like when you start watching videos of her or interviews of her. She does have like that icy kind of 3-5 or 5-8 thing, like kind of like 3-5-8 try is a little bit lizard people. Like there are, the famous lizard people like Bill Gates. So I'm actually shocked to find that she might be the same try as him, because that's upsetting. But, I think that that's a really good lesson in bigotry, and that we shouldn't stereotype people by their personality type, because not all of them are genocidal maniacs. Some of them are fabulous actresses. There was like a really funny picture, or not a funny picture, but where she literally looks, oh, here it is. This is to me where when I look at this, I'm like, this to me looks like not sexual blind. This looks like sexual 3-5-8 try of some iteration. It's like icy and dark, and I'm gonna play with you before I eat you. I think she plays a lot of 8s in her shows, like Xena. I think she's probably Xena Warrior Princess. She's probably an 8. She's probably an 8 in Battlestar. She's probably an 8 in Spartacus. I do think that like people often play like in their type range. So if she has 8 as a fix, I don't think she's a core 8, but I might change my opinion by the end of this. We'll see. But she has something very cute about her too. And this is weirdly where I'm getting the 5 from, because even though 5's not cute, it weirdly, this try, like a lot of people with this try look like anime characters. I don't know why. She sort of has this like, I think it's because 5 in the headspace is sort of like a baby in the sense that they're not really as dialed, like they're dialed into their thing, and that's what like makes them curious, but then they're not really maybe like totally hooked into the rest of the world or something. Okay, so I am leaning social sexual for her stacking, and this is one of the videos that is the reason why. She's definitely messing with this guy.
Explain it to them. This is a big night for you. This is a big night. Explain why. Something tomorrow.
Last night I had the Xena look. Tomorrow I'm going to make some big changes.
You're doing a makeover of sorts tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you're going to get the haircut. You know exactly what you're doing?
I'm going to feel out the guy for a few ideas. And
First of all, like, why is this what you're coming on the talk show to talk about? This does seem a little imagey, a little bit maybe 3-ish, maybe social sexual. And also the fact that she's doesn't have it planned out makes me think she's maybe self-preservation last.
And you don't have, and why are you doing this?
Just why not?
Why
Time for a
not?
change.
Yeah.
Okay, and so there are parts where you could pick up on 7, right? Like this YOLO. I'll just like cut my hair and see what happens. I haven't totally ruled out 7 head, but I don't think that that's what it is. I think it's social sexual. And this has been a source of grief for me trying to tease apart the difference between social sexual and 7.
Some suggestions, some different looks that you might want to consider tomorrow. Okay, this one right here. That's a little blonde, short crop blonde. There's a little bushier. I know you're. I know. And, hey. So just some suggestions.
It's a Brazilian.
I get it. That's funny. I like that. That's good.
A little sexual innuendo. You probably knew that.
I don't know why you changed it, because if it ain't broke, why fix it? You look perfect. This character on X-Files,
Yeah.
Shannon, she's super, right? She's got a superpower.
She has a bionic vagina. Well, that's your
I
brand.
don't want to hear. Why couldn't we work slowly to that? Maybe in the.
Okay, so again, you could be like, this is 7. I get it, but we'll keep watching.
All right, what else does she have? That you know, there's nothing else you can say that's offensive.
She's got a grade A ass.
So when I say like why this could be 7, it's like because 7s are known to be provocative, even without sexual in their stacking. They like to get under people's skins, ruffle their feathers, make them uncomfortable. Guilty as charged.
Yeah, I do know this, and I'll try to bring this back to some old-fashioned conservative talk. But you're naked in X-Files, or there's a body double.
There's a body double. And I wrote it into my contract that I am.
And are you pleased?
I wanted the girl.
Are you pleased with the body double?
Yeah, fine.
It looks good, right?
Well, yeah.
It's a grade A. It's a grade
A ass.
Let me ask you, is this a grade A ass? I want you to tell me what this is right here.
To as calipitches.
Oh, very nice. Very
I've been looking to use that word for 6 years now.
Yeah.
You could argue this is a 5 flex. Not the 7s don't love to have weird little things to dazzle. So do 5s. This is sort of where they overlap.
Finally, you found a place. Say it again.
Calipitches.
Yeah.
Vagina.
No, stop. Why do you mention the V word? Because you're going to be in the V monologues. You're from New Zealand.
Vagina monologue.
And you are going to be in the V monologues in New Zealand because they're doing them down there. Is that right?
Right.
They're doing the V monologues down there. See? Now.
She's got a lot to say, Craig.
Oh.
So, okay, so here's partly why I'm also leaning 5. There's other videos, but it's almost like she doesn't get that it's like time to move on. And you could almost say, well, that could be a social blind thing, but I think it's 5 in the head thing. Cause I think she seems very light and just SP unaware. In other videos, there's some sort of kind of la 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 kind of quality to her that she doesn't feel really grounded. And yeah, I feel like there's like, I don't like using this term that people have used for 5 head being like pseudo autism, but there is sort of this quality where she's not like reading the room in a lot of instances.
Can you think of a word that's a little softer for me to hear, just a little different, like
Dredge. Johnny.
Tiny.
Regis Philbin has trouble saying that word. How come you have trouble saying that?
because it's too clinical. I prefer other words. See, that's the weird thing. That's the paradox, is that you can say certain things on the show, but you can't.
Also, weirdly, this is anecdotal and I kind of just made it up, but I think that 5 heads have this thing with anatomy and they like aren't grossed out by words or I don't know, certain things that maybe like other people are like, oh, that's like a gross word to use for whatever. And then, yeah.
can't say, and that doesn't bother me. That word doesn't bother me. I think it's fun to say that. Okay.
What is Craig Ferguson? He's probably like a 3/8 or I don't know, 7/8 or I don't know, whatever. He's a controlling type either way.
Back to America now.
Say it
Do
again.
you miss?
Say it again.
I can't say it again. I can't say it again. Do you miss Xena at all? Do you miss that thing?
No,
You don't miss it?
I don't miss the lifestyle.
How many years was it?
6 years.
People are going to remember you as Xena, right?
They are.
Until you shave your hair.
Right.
Right.
Get the Brazilian.
Do they still? Do you still have the costume, the outfit?
I do, but it only comes up for very special occasions. You know, like,
And she keeps bringing it back to this, like, even though he hates it. Again, I know 7, but social sexual. And also it's interesting because I'm sort of like where I'm at right now is that she might be a 3-wing too. But so it's kind of interesting that she's saying like, no, she doesn't want to do the show anymore. Because usually you would think that if you're a 3 in Hollywood, you're probably going to play the game a little. So it does lead me to guess if she is a 3, that she has something in her type that's like whatever. And that could be 5 head.
I'm in New Zealand and in LA. Do you find LA? Do you like LA?
yeah, I like it a lot.
Is
What's
it-
not to like?
It's a little, isn't it a little, they're into themselves a little too much here, you know? The spa treatments and all that. And weren't you shopping the other day and you overheard something that kind of bothered you? When you said,
Yeah, I did go. I went to lunch with my lawyer, Neiman Marcus, down in.
That's the name of your lawyer?
Cafe down. Yeah.
oh, you went to
Funny enough,
Neiman Marcus.
I went to
Okay.
Neiman Marcus and went to this cafe downstairs, and the woman next door to me was complaining that she was stuck in Europe with absolutely nowhere to get her nails done. Like there's nothing else to do in Europe, you know. She can't.
That's terrible. That turns people off, the shallowness of LA.
It just makes me laugh so much. But
Yeah.
you have to. That was good luck to find her.
Yeah.
I think.
You don't worry about that stuff, do you? The nails and stuff. You just kind of, aren't they a little more outdoorsy in New Zealand?
Quite outdoorsy.
Yeah.
I'm not like other girls. So you could argue that this is a little bit of her pointing out in a 3-wing 4-way perhaps, or that she would be some other type. Like I'm not shallow like those people, but she didn't really go for the throat. It was more just like drawing attention to like she didn't shit on anybody. I think a 3-wing 4 that had an issue with that would be like more shitting on them. And I think this could just be like some 3 thing with a 5 head. I'm a little different because 5s feel like they're different, but they don't really have as much self-image, ego investment in it. So the fact that she's highlighting that could be, you can argue that's 6 as well, but I'm thinking 5-wing 6 for her head.
Very nice to be here. It's good to be here. You tell me before we get on with the Xena stuff. It's 6 years or 7?
6 years.
Okay, 6 years. It really occupies professionally almost your whole life.
Yep.
And then it ends.
Mhm.
And now what?
I am driving down Melrose singing show tunes. It was cool. I loved it up until the very end. And now I'm loving having all this choice in my day. I can wear modern clothes. I can wear something pretty if I want to. And
Like again, this kind of points to 7, but she's not limited anymore. Broadway or show tunes or whatever she said, but I weirdly think that this is still like a 5 social sexual thing. This is partly a vibe typing video. I'm afraid to break it to you right now if you're already watching it.
I feel like I almost belong. You know, I'm driving down LA. You can't imagine, perhaps you can if you're not from here, the glitter that goes with them, like Melrose or Mulholland. You've heard them all your life, and you can't believe that you kind of belong in this town.
So that to me also points to her being attachment core, as in 3. Does she wants to belong, that it matters to her that she belongs, that she's telling people that she wants to belong. But also I feel like it's coming from a sort of 5 head as well influence, where it's like, I want to belong. I never felt like I belonged because 5 head. But she's like, if she's an attachment core, then she actually still wants that. So she could feel like the odd man out, but still want to be a part of it.
Yeah, there's no show.
Also, like her 70 things, they don't really land. Like it's like if you think about somebody like Russell Brand or whoever, when it's very I'm not trying to be mean against Lucy Lawless because I adore her, but it's sort of more odd, like the way that she does it, where it's like, what? Like, why are you doing this?
I'm so happy. It's been amazing.
22-month-old son, 13-year-old daughter, your husband, Rob.
Yes.
And where shall the family live? Or do we not know?
No, we don't know. My daughter's at school in New Zealand and her dad lives there. So that's very important to us to keep the family together. So there'll be good amounts of the year spent in New Zealand and hopefully some time working here. So
And not to put it like only people with super ego care about their family, because it's not true, but I think it's the 3-wing too. There is that element of super ego on the wing. There's like I think she has at least double super ego wings. I'm not sure about her 8-wing yet, 8-wing 7 or 8-wing 9, I'm not 100. But I think that especially in the image space, it's like, I'm a good parent. I want you to know that I'm a good parent. Like,
And to that degree, now that Hollywood knows that you're free, I imagine the phone's been ringing a bit.
I can't stand the beeping. Answer that, would you? How many people?
okay, you know what I'm saying? Like with the awkwardness, it's like, it's funny. And you could say that this is 7, but to me, or social blind, but I think it's, again, it's like sort of this like, it's beeping, I don't know, waka waka. And 6s are way more tuned into what's like actually funny, you know, in the headspace. Unless they suck.
Are in your posse? How many are working?
Like the Patriots.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm also like, I'll just be honest, I'm not the best with stacking. But I'm thinking social sexual over sexual social, because she's very playful and she seems like Synflow, and she's very like kind of goofy, which is a more, I think, Synflow trait.
I'm black in my soul.
Black in my soul. Can't say that now.
3 months ago, but I think it was only 2. Do you miss like going to work and kicking out? I mean, I think it was fun to kind of go in and just go, you know, you'd like a little bit of that in your day. Well, you can do that here. This guy's thing amenable.
All right, there's total Xena files. People who are wildly into
She also doesn't seem double attachment to me. She's vibing with social sexual, but she seems like 8 in the gut to me. Like she seems very firm in like who she is. She's not going to be messed around. Like she's kind of controlling the vibe, and that's what happened in the last interview, which I think partly why, I don't know what Craig Ferguson, whatever the fuck that gingy guy's name is. It's like she's controlling the vibe, and I've noticed that 8 fix guys, especially the 3A stem, do not like it when women are controlling that space, because I often just notice that when we're typing people.
Good question.
How do you stay in such great shape, is what the lady asked. Look at Lucy Lawless's face. Is this disgust for the self-preservation realm? I don't think she's a 3-wing 4. She's too joyful. You know what I mean? She's too abundant coming across. She has to have positive influence somewhere.
Really scary shows. And they make me nervous. I don't know what to do. Let's find out. Come on. Really? I do exercise.
Really? It's like, yeah, why would I want to talk about this self-pres crap? It is boring.
And I'm not particularly, I'm not so nutty about food that I have to eat Doritos or whatever. That just doesn't matter to me. So
I love that there's so much disgust coming out here, because this is like not really in any other thing that I found just in my little search today that I randomly decided I wanted to type her. Also, this could point to her being double competency, which would be 3-5, because it's like, what do you mean? Like, what do you can't control yourself from eating? Like, what's wrong with you?
try to stay excited about life. That's really important, I think. Then you're away from the fridge, right?
Look at Renee O'Connor, who played Gabrielle and Xena. For those of you who don't know, it's a great show. Although I haven't watched it in years, so I don't know if it holds up. I imagine it does though. But look at her face. She's looking at the lady to see like
Yes, go away from the fridge. How many other episodes in my end? Just I think the first and the last.
Also, look at how she's holding herself. She's like commanding on that stage. Like that's not 9 gut. That's like got to be 8 or 1. She has swagger, and I want to go 8 with that. Some of the characters she plays are more 8 wing 9. So
Yes.
Bedtime story.
Yes.
Did you or did you not want to keep that one costume?
Which costume?
The one with claws and all of where you were in with that wonderful costume, because I know you love costumes.
I do love costumes because I put something on and I become that thing.
it's the 3 answer. But I think also like, and she alluded to this before, I think social doms like playing dress up in bed. So.
And but the crab thing, I have no real desire to live as a crab. And besides, once you take that stuff off, it's just like a heavy piece. So what am I going to do with that? You gotta like get latex and paint it on. You need an expert to do it, and it takes a long time. And
Again, more kind of like social or self-preservation. Ugh, not interested, not here for it.
I didn't think I was that pretty. Cool, thank you very much. Thank you. I love doing it. Actually, except the gentleman.
Also, she has like a lot of patience, I feel like, for this nonsense, which I don't know if she had a lot of frustration in her type, if she would. Like she wasn't really here for the self-pres questions, but she's still like actively like, okay, ask me more questions, which again leads me to think like she's probably double assertive or not that sex is entirely the realm of flirting, because SPSOs can be big flirts too. She just seems like really a natural flirt. Like she's just kind of in her element flirting. I can also see like the 3/8 stem kind of holding themselves a little bit more jockish. I mean, I've seen some 3/8 schlubs, so that doesn't entirely like have a follow through, but she sort of holds herself like kind of in this sort of swaggery, I take up space kind of way. So here's something maybe just to watch. Is there sort of like a body awkwardness where she's sort of like taking up space. I mean, she's tall, but it's like she's taking up space, but like also like doing it in some kind of like awkward body way. Anyways, that could just be like wildly judgmental of me, but there's something in her videos where she's sort of doing something that's a little praying mantis-y, and that isn't quite like smooth. Like I think if it was like 368 or 378.
Yeah.
Like that, right?
Just about that, fell in love with these guys for the first time when I watched you with the ice cream truck.
Oh, yeah, we went out a couple of weeks ago. We did a show where Andy and I commandeered an ice cream truck. And
It was fantastic. My friend Gavin and I were jet lagged sitting up watching the show. It was the funniest thing we've ever seen in our lives.
oh, great. Well, thanks so much for coming, and congratulations on your show. It's huge. It's a phenomenon. Your program. It's playing big. Yeah, it's like in 80 countries. Is that the case?
Apparently, it's even in Saudi Arabia, where they have to blow up all the wide shots, all the fights into close-ups. I don't know how they do it, but they manage.
Why is that?
So they don't show any cleavage or.
Also, just something else to notice, like when you have like a 6 head, you're kind of more self-deprecating, even if it's like fake, which it usually is when it's a 3 core. And and she just sort of is like neutrally receives compliments a lot of the time. Like she's just sort of like, oh, okay.
Legs or For shame.
They're missing the best part of the show. They in Saudi Arabia, I guess they're not allowed to show.
I guess not.
Right. And so how do they show shows like Baywatch or something like that over there? How would that even be possible? They just edit it so it's just Hasselhoff reacting
That's
the whole
right.
time. The whole hour of Hasselhoff going, sounds like they're in trouble.
They get the cerebral quotient
Yeah.
of Baywatch.
It doesn't do nearly as well. You also have very rabid fans. Is that the case? You get some strange requests from your fans.
I don't deal so much with fan mail anymore, but some of the more salient letters that we would get would be judges and lawyers ringing up, sending letters asking to be spanked. And
Judges and lawyers want to be spanked?
Again, like she's out of all of it, she probably gets so much weird fan mail. She's picking getting spanked. It's like drawing attention. Again, like this could be like social sexual. This can also be like an image thing. Oh, like people want me to spank them. Are you picturing it?
Judges and lawyers want to be spanked.
They like Xena, and that's what they're thinking about?
Well, they're meeting up.
Her to spank me.
Yeah,
That's so strange.
yeah. Well, I suppose it's
I don't think he's giving her the reaction she wants.
sort of fit for the letter and and everywhere I go, people are disappointed that I'm fully clothed. They expect that I'm going to be wearing, mini skirts and leather bustiers.
Yeah, I was told this interview would go very differently than that.
I mean, I'm reaching a little bit here, but if she's a 3, which I think she is, she's now doing the stacking of like she's painting the picture of like, oh, like people want me to be naked and like people want me to spank them and like, are you picturing it, Conan? Like
There are conventions too. Is that right?
Yeah.
There are conventions for Xena.
We've got one coming up here in New York in a couple of weeks. The
What?
28th.
That's scary. 28, 4:40 p.m.
Fans that follow me to New Zealand tour.
They follow you to New Zealand?
Yeah, if I go on a talk show in LA, they're there. Anywhere I go, this pack of women turn up.
That's very and there's a lesbian following too.
also the fact that she's talking about that in some weird way does make me think Five Head. It's like another like I don't think she's social blind again, but it's sort of like another kind of faux pas in some ways, like, oh, you're kind of like being mean to your fans, like, oh, they follow me everywhere, this pack of women, like
Is that
They
the
have
case?
a sanus. They have a sanus.
they have an anus.
Sanus, what am I trying to say? Constituency of our fandom, I guess.
The sanest.
But, they're not confused between Xena and I, and they're just glad to have a show that they can relate to, But we do get some oddballs, like at the convention.
Show they can relate to, yeah. They
find something in it for them.
Again, this is like Hexad head to me, is like she's just kind of, whether you think she's 3 or 5 or 7 in the head, it's like just like not really like the 6 in the headspace would be sort of aware of like the ramifications of like shitting on your fans. She's not even shitting on them though. It's more of like she's sort of like, isn't it weird? Like which I also like, to me it's like I think 7s would be delivering it maybe with more funniness or but she's sort of just like, yeah, like
Actually, there's a bar here. Isn't there a bar in New York where they have Xena night? Yeah. Tell us about that.
Well, I've not been.
Kidding. No, you weren't.
Sidekick competition. They have little get-togethers and dress up and reenact scenes we'd like to see, I think. So they take things from Xena to their preferred conclusion.
How about that? I don't know. Get off my back. I'm not gonna tell you.
Again, like I think like a 3-wing 4 versus 3-wing 2 would have a problem with this in some way, like messing with the image sort of more, and not wanting to be known as being a character. I think would be more in the 3-wing 4 territory. I think 3-wing 2's more happy to do it because 3-wing 2's, not to say that they couldn't get tired of it, but 3-wing 2's are more happy to, I think, play the role for the people because there's like that super ego aspect where it's like, yeah, I'm like this character that all these people love, like brings them joy. Like it's like, I think we typed Jensen Ackles as a 3-wing 268, and he's got more of that Mr. Charisma kind of quality and that social awareness of sort of like, I know how like things are landing, what I'm saying. And she's like kind of doing that, but it's like off kilter. I think of like five, like this is how I've sort of come to conceive of five in the headspace, because I used to type as a 5. And I guess I still do have a grudge about not being a 5. Is that 5s are like the uncanny valley 7s. Like that's sort of just how they feel to me, because it's like they're sort of like, they're just saying like weird, like stuff you're not supposed to say, but it's like what? And I think 7s do the what thing, but it's not as like, I feel like you're not supposed to say that. Like, no, I do that too as a 7, but I think with 5s, there's a naivety around what you're not supposed to say. Like they don't really know that you're not supposed to say it. And I think a lot of the time 7 heads kind of know that you're not supposed to say stuff, and that's why they're saying it.
About it. It's a very physically demanding role for you. You even watch the clip. You're running, you're jumping. They don't use stunt doubles a lot for you, do they?
Yes, no, they do. In fact,
they do.
Good rule of thumb is if you don't see my face, it's probably not me.
The ones where you have a long beard. Jumping through the air and you're black.
So if she was like a SP3, like Tom Cruise, for example, she'd probably want to do her own stunts. She'd probably be like, I'm the one who's good at the action. And if she's like social, if she's self-pres blind, she probably doesn't give a shit. She'd rather just not do it. She's just here for like the sexy Xena, like muddy and like running with her sword.
Yeah, probably not you.
Oh, and also the fact that she does bring up the fans, or likes to talk about the fans quite a bit, also makes me think 3. She has like she's totally comfortable talking about like she has fans. I'm a 3. I'm a star. I have fans. She's not braggadocious like you would probably find with like a 3-wing 4-7-8 or something, but she has no problem talking about it. Like if a 6 would probably get bashful, or like a 6 head even would probably be more like humble about it. And like a 3-7-8 would be more like I don't know, more chaotic and celebratory or something about the fan part of it.
But there are also times where they put you in like these horrible situations. I heard that you were in a pit with some rats or something.
Oh God, I was in this tube, and the worst thing about the tube,
the worst thing about watching these videos, just to go off with the worst thing, is like when they like pretend that they didn't have these questions prepared. I really hate it. But I guess this is probably going to be a self-pres complaint.
Supposed to be in a sewer underneath a castle. The worst thing about the tube is that there's a stream of water running, nasty, gnarly old stream running through the bottom of the sewer, as you find.
Yeah, when I'm walking around a sewer, that's what I always see.
I'm crawling down the sewer. There's dumping boxes of rats on me. These rats are just.
Were these people connected with the production that we're doing here? Just random people.
That's right. Volunteers.
Yeah.
And
dumping
rats on
dumping real rats? Would the rats actually get on you?
Oh, it was horrifying. They were trying to nibble. They were, they're in their cleavage. They were just scared.
She's like, how do you make this story about like now it's like rats are in your cleavage? I'm going social sexual because the way she's doing it is sort of, she's not trashy, but she just keeps talking about it. It's like playing fast and loose in the sexual realm, I guess. But also like in some, like this is kind of also like a funny, to me, this also points to maybe like 5 head. You could argue 3-wing 4, she's drawing attention to this weird thing, but not really. To me, this is 5 head or 7 head stuff where it's like the weirdest thing that she could pick out of a Xena episode. It was like she had rats crawling around in her cleavage.
In your cleavage?
Get me out of here.
Oh, but you got them all out.
Eventually,
yeah. I just saw one peek out and go.
Horny little 6.
I know I wouldn't leave. Now,
6-wing 7, 7-wing 6, whatever he is.
Couch, I have Xena, the warrior princess, Lucy Lawless. And I just met her a couple of nights ago when she was performing at the Pasadena Playhouse playing Maleficent. And she was fantastic because I love the way she was so mysterious and evil, but with so much humor bubbling inside. And my 6-year-old daughter just fell in love with her and said, she's not mean enough to be Maleficent once she met her. And she thought she was so tall. She thought
Points for 3-wing-2 over 3-wing-4.
feet 5 or 7 feet because she was so powerful on stage. So I'm so
Again, that more speaks to like 8, I think, in the gut space, having like double assertive, having that extra power.
excited to have her here. And she's all the way from New Zealand. So I caught her right in the nick of time before she was heading back. So welcome.
Thank you.
Lucy. Hi. So it's so good to have you here.
Thank you. I have no idea what we're going to talk about or what I'm very intrigued that you're not doing research before, because that's much more interesting for me, to be honest. You know, the process is more interesting.
Yeah.
That might also be a little bit destabilizing for her if she's an image type, because then it's like she doesn't have time to like kind of craft what she's going to say. But if she has a 5 head, then yes, that would be more interesting, because she's like coming at it, like she can like spark that curiosity of like, this is all a Sims game and I'm just gonna see what happens.
Yeah, and usually the people,
And maybe that's social sexual too, even like she's just here to vibe.
who I've interviewed so far, I've known them, 6 degrees of separation, just like you. So I know a little bit about you, but I like these legacy interviews to be more about you. You've done enough of, I am Lucy Lawless and I'm fabulous and here's my role in promoting films. So I wanted to know who you were. What makes you tick? What's in your soul? What makes you smile? What makes you laugh?
Well, here's a speech I prepared earlier.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that could be an image self-consciousness thing.
Right.
Yeah. So who is Lucy? What made you get into film and acting? What was your family like?
I have no immediate family in the business at all. And coming from New Zealand, there's very few role models of people from my country who have made it overseas. There were a couple, Kiri Takano, an opera singer.
My mom also loves Kiri Takanawa. She's from New Zealand. But she's speaking to like, she immediately went into like, there's no nepotism. I earned it on my own. There were no role models. Like that seems like an attachment-y kind of answer in some ways. And also like approving, you could argue that that's a little bit of 6 influence, like I earned it, but I think that there's like a 3-8 also can just be like that in a way where it's like, like I got it. I did the work. Like I fucking made it happen.
There are a few actresses who had gone to RADA and were theatre actors in London, but remember
I also think, and this is anecdotal, but this is just from me studying all like anecdotal related things on my path to try to understand different types. And I think that there's a whole thing with 8 and 8 fixers where it's like they don't want to like give other people credit for their journey unless it's like very much like they did help. Like it's like they want to make sure like people know like here's what I did on my own. Like I think there's something to that. Not to say that they won't give credit, but I think that it's just like they need to have their own thing that they did on their own.
growing up in an age where there was no internet. So if you wanted to find out information about how to get to a big drama school overseas, you'd have to go to the British consulate, look up phone books. You'd have to phone, ask them to mail out information. Anyway, it was tremendously hard. And
so here's something funny that I've also noticed about 3-wing-2s. I noticed this more with 3-wing-269 is they always have like some kind of like sob story, some Genesis sob story that they like to impart. But hers is more like, I had to work really hard for it. I had to like go to like look through all, like it's like she really wants, it's like a competency flex, I think. Like I did it. Competency with like 8.
I was quite alone in that process. In fact, having a lot of brothers, I learned to be very, very careful about expressing my ambitions because it was seen as being really conceited and to be.
So this is why I picked this interview, because there's actually a lot of really great stuff in here. She had to hide it. She was conscious of like the social dynamic. So this could be social dom or whatever. She's conscious of the social dynamic. She wants to thrive. She wants to be She wants to be seen. She wants to be a fucking star, but probably her brothers were a bunch of fucking sixes. And they were like, you're conceited, Lucy, and so a strategy that fives and probably eights going to five would employ would be to hide what they're up to. And I know this because it's something that I do. I have like an 8 gut fix, which some people don't think, but fucking suck it. And it's like, if you think somebody's going to fucking get in the way of what you want, you have to like fucking hide what you're up to. And it's not to be deceitful. It's just like, I'm not letting you get in the way. So this is also maybe an assertive thing too. If she's double and assertive, it's like, she wants this thing. She knows that there's like enemies on the gate that are going to try to like fuck with her thing. You're just not going to know. And that's also maybe a rejection thing too. It's like, you're just not going to see past that wall. And rejection is also 5 and 8 and wing 2. So
show off.
How many brothers do you have?
5 brothers.
5 brothers.
And just the New Zealand sensibilities, you're not allowed to think you're better than other people. You mustn't display it. You must, and anything about showing off is read as you think you're better than me. We have
yeah, that's true. The whole tall poppy thing, tall poppy syndrome is big in New Zealand. I've lived there before. I'm half Kiwi. And I did a year of college there, and it was like, it was just like a bunch of ugly chicks just absolutely hating you. Whatever. I'm half from New Zealand. My mom's from New Zealand. She's beautiful. She was beautiful. But it's like there's a lot of haters in New Zealand. And I've heard stories just from some of my relatives. It's like they definitely have a tall poppy thing down there where it's like a very, I don't know if it's a very sexy country, but it's very like, you're not allowed to like be pretty. You're not think you're prettier. You're not allowed to like shine. You have to like stay on the same level. Like if you stand out, it's like you're going to make some enemies. That's like what happened to me when I was in college there. It was like, I had no fucking idea what was going on. It's like, oh, you're the loudmouth. You've made some enemies, Larissa.
It's like historically this poor relationship with exhibitionism or winning, actually.
Yeah, I would say it's a prude country too. And not that I'm for pedophiles walking around naked, flashing children like they do now, but exhibitionism in the sense of even, I think what Lucy Lawless is talking about, like even just like liking your body and like dressing like you you have something to show off, definitely shit on in New Zealand.
So, and that's we're losing that from our culture now, thankfully. But
how old is this? 2015. I haven't been there in like forever, so I don't know. Maybe it has changed.
I could be a very quiet operator in expressing what I wanted to do because nobody thought it was possible to be an actress overseas and be successful.
Again, this weirdly does seem to me like attachment core with 2 rejection, like 5 and 8 stem, because it's like you have to be strategic about the moves that you're making so that they don't get. It's like Robert Greene. Actually, Robert Greene is a 5-3-8, 5-8, no, probably 5-8-3 is probably image last. Social self-pres, and like his books are about like strategies of war, like 48 laws of power. It's like he observed a lot of shit and then made books about like all the power dynamics. So I think there's something about this try and having social that like you really do become conscious of what other people are doing around you and like what the games are that are being played so that you can like protect yourself.
For you? Oh, that would have been in my teens.
Your teens.
But my first inkling of wanting to be an actress was probably about 7 or 8 years old when I saw Snow White on the stage and the black light came out and all the paint fluoresced and there were flowers and fairies and things all of a sudden appeared and I saw magic and I had to be there. There was nowhere on this earth that I wanted to be but on the stage.
Oh, that's so cute. Also, this is why when I was flopping around about her type, I was like, okay, she's not a 5. She's got to be a 3. I think social sexual makes sense to me. 3 wing 2 social sexual. She loves the fairies and the magic and the sparkles. And she said something about the Hollywood being like that too. It's like glittering and sparkly. It's like that's kind of a 70 thing again too, but I'm just not seeing this like frustration head bombastic thing happening. And yeah.
So when you started taking lessons,
I mean, and also it's assertive type thing, I think, to want to shine, like to want to be on the stage. So I don't think she's an 8 core. She just doesn't seem like mean enough. She doesn't have not that all 8 cores are mean, but she's not scary. Like she plays scary characters, like she or really tough women, but she's just not, she doesn't have that rejection wall, I don't think, like that you would find from like an 8 core. But when I watch this, I do kind of lean more 8 wing 9. So she's a bit older though. So, and everyone starts to see more 9 when they're older.
did you have innate talent, or did your teacher say, "Oh my God, you're a star, you're fabulous," or did they say, "We got to work with you quite a bit"?
That star, you know, that wasn't part, it's not part of the culture of New Zealand to say, "Oh my God, you're a star," but I would always get the role. So I guess I showed a bit of attitude. And
yeah, I'll just go with 8 wing 9 for her gut, because I think that there is like a lot of like awareness of attachy things that like if she had more hexad, maybe she wouldn't be as conscious of, because she is, and she obviously has social, because she's so super aware of these dynamics playing out.
And my girlfriends, you know, we'd put on plays and performances all the time. That was our play, was to put on shows. So yeah.
So when you were with your brothers at home, did you guys play? Did you do anything?
Oh no, I mean, I would tuck mum's scarves into my knickers and try to be a ballet dancer, put records on my mother's record player and dance to classical music. And my brother, Bill the Builder, all my brothers are tradesmen. Bill's gonna come and go, "You're so up yourself, Lucy. If you were any more up yourself, you'd be inside out." And I was like 9, and I was being a little girl on her own, daring to express art and beauty and movement and stuff. And it's like, that was read as, "You're so conceited and show off, stop it."
Interesting. I have a Middle Eastern.
I think that's got to be tough, actually, if you're like a 3 and you have that awareness of like values in your family that you are sort of trying to fit while also still doing your own thing. I think that could be really harmful. So I think that it's actually amazing that she pulled herself out of that, which I think also does speak to her having like, again, like another assertive fix. And potentially maybe 5 head, because maybe she's not taking it on emotionally the way a 6 head would, or as rebelliously as maybe a 7 head would, who might like hate the fuck out of their family for trying to limit them.
Background's the same thing. Women just look good, but keep your mouth shut. You never overshadow a guy. You don't ever show off the same things. It's really, putting a muzzle on. You don't have a voice. Just be present and let the men do their thing.
Really?
So
I want to interview you. It's not that. It's not that.
Okay, so I think there's a little bit of social sexual that just came out there, and also 3 wing 2, like, oh, you're, there's like a little, and maybe a 5 head thing, like 5-7 kind of line there, which is like, oh, you got something interesting to say. Give it to me.
Because looking good, it wasn't, in at least my family culture is not really valued. It's not enough to be pretty. You have to,
again, like the value thing, she's like aware of what's valued, which speaks to attachment core to me, like, or a strong 3, because I think like if you're a hexad type, you're not really paying that much attention to what's valued, because it's like, oh, my family wanted me to be like this, and they're fucking losers.
to be hardworking, you have to be
women too.
Clever. Oh, women.
Yes. Oh,
okay. Yeah, looking good is always frowned upon. That's part of that showing off thing.
Yes.
So it's not the same, but I don't know. I'd like to interview you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting when.
And I also want to say there's probably some reactive influence, actually, that she's digging into. Like now she's into like what this lady's saying, because she's giving her something real. It's like, oh, we're transcending this Hollywood phony interview space. Now you're like giving me something juicy to like push into.
brought up to think, oh, you just have to look pretty and don't be smart, don't be anything else. That's your role as a woman.
Ooh,
And keep your mouth shut and have
Whoa.
no talents and know nothing. And if you
Oh,
do,
that's horrifying.
it is, right? Yeah, and never even make your own money, because if you make your own money, that means you have no value unless a man wants to take care of you. So it's like a lot of psychological stuff I have to get over. So with
that is so galling to me.
yes. But even with you weren't allowed to just really explore yourself.
Well, you're not supposed to be overtly sexy. You're not supposed to be any of it. You're supposed to, well, at least this is my family, right? I just had to be tough because my brothers would, call me out on anything being girly. So I had to be a tough girl.
And this is I mean, she's being asked questions about her previous life, but she's sort of doing the Genesis story, which image types often do, how they got to where they were, like what was their upbringing like. They often like to bring up these pieces. Again, I know other types can do this, but she does keep circling back to it.
Which has been it's taken me 40 years to realize the value of softness.
Oh yeah, okay, that's one of the reasons I included this. So this is like another 8 thing. The value of softness, because 8s, actually I'll let her finish.
Vulnerability, because I had to be involved, or at least present myself that way. It's been a hurdle for me in life.
Yeah, that's like a big time 8 fix thing, is like, especially I think as a woman, it can be difficult because then it's like you have to develop these masculine traits. And I do think that, obviously this relates to object relations, but it's like, I think our personalities are formed though before that, but then it's just how we relate to the material that's presented to us via our parents. And that is like, she felt like she had to be tough and she had to like hide things from her family, because probably also she's a shame type, a 3, she has to like hide the thing that's shameful, it's not valued, could be part of it. But it's like the vulnerability piece, which I do think eventually does come to bite you in the ass when, even if you're a heart type or you have a strong heart fix or something, it's like this wall that you put up because you have to survive, or you tell yourself you have to survive when you're younger, and it gets you there. And then it becomes this pattern that you keep forever, which is how the subconscious mind works. We're doing our types, we're projecting outwards. And I think that this is a big path to growth for 8s and 8 fixers, is like, especially I think, well, no, I guess for both sexes, but it's like, as a woman though, it's like you're really like robbing yourself almost of the experience of the feminine, of being that receptive person. And if she is a 3-wing 2, then she probably, I don't really see the 2 so much in interviews, other than she just seems very friendly and peoply, and just very like bright, and she's engaged in conversations. She's not really doing the 3-wing 4 thing as much, the me thing. And so that's also the rejection thing. So she probably has this like, I'm inferring and speculating, but she could have, if she's a 3-wing 2, 5-wing 6, 8-wing 9, or different order of the fixes, then she would be 2-5-8 or 2-8-5, like adjacent. And so that's like a lot of rejection, that she would have to like then sort of break down in her life to be able to probably have this like richer experience, perhaps, like, or more multi-dimensional. I mean, this is what we all have to do with our types, but which is interesting because her shadow type then, if I've typed her right, would be 2-6-9. So, and that is like literally the sacrificial lamb. It is the soft, weak, vulnerable, little handmaiden. Little baby bird, I'm harmed. Please help me. I'll help you, but it's because I want you to help me. So that's interesting because, her shadow type then would be sort of probably stuff that might even annoy her about other people, but it's almost what she has to like move into to sort of grow in some ways, is that weak, vulnerable space.
What's interesting about you though is you do have so much masculinity to you, but you are so feminine. and that masculinity. And I think that's your gift. That's your talent of, crossing over where women are in love with you and men are in love with you. Well,
Again, that like points to double assertive, I think.
I played Xena. I suppose that is true in some way, but I don't think I really thought about it. That's an observation that one makes from the outside.
Yes, and I've met.
That seems like an interesting 5-head reframe where it's like, and an image type maybe, like where it's like you're telling me my image and I'm just gonna have this objective like removal of what you just projected onto me of like, well, that's your observation.
Met, many actresses in the past 2 decades, and a good handful, if not more, have said you're their girl crush. And you were, yeah.
Beautiful.
So you really appeal to both men and women. And I think that's a really special quality because you're not intimidating. Even when I met you, I thought, wow, she's so talented and beautiful and extraordinary. But you come out of the dressing room just taking your makeup.
Well, this is funny. I'm just like speculating, but ew, to being girl crush. That was her like knee-jerk response. She sort of had canned responses when she was on like Conan and whoever, but knee-jerk like
doing this and hi, how's it going? And just so real. You didn't have anything to prove and you weren't on and you didn't have attitude. It was just like, I'm a real person. Yet you go like this and you're a princess.
So nice. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's very.
So yeah, I'm just kind of riffing. But it's interesting that she's saying like you're very real because that does speak to her having reactive in her type. And 8 is reactive, so is 6, and so is 4. So if she has like 6 wing on her 5, she has an 8 gut. I mean, she could be 8 second, but she does not seem double reactive to me. Like 6, 8, 3, 6, even 3, 6, 8s are. They're very like alert, and they're very like kind of ready to go. Like they're kind of broy.
Very rare too.
Well, I think that's my experience of theatre. Well, no, that's just you're a family. You're a family of 10. You can't. There's no rankings.
Yes.
In the family of theatre.
That's why you were also trying to get my husband, who's TV producer, to go say hi to the other cast members that he really liked their talent. Go let him. Go tell him. So you were just so loving and giving.
So that again points maybe more to 3 wing 2. Like having positive influence and social dom, like, and maybe social sexual, perhaps like the butterfly that likes to connect people. But she's doing it, like, oh, you should meet this person, that person, this person can help you, like giving from a place of like that social, because she doesn't seem 2-y enough for me to type her to image. But you can see the flavor of it and the positivity and the fact that like people do seem to think that she's quite nice and like caring. So if she has that aspect and social sexual, she's probably just like, oh, like let's connect these people. And maybe with the 8 piece, she's also able to sense like the leverage, if you will, like the like what people can get out of it with the 3/8 done.
We're not here for long. We're good to one another.
Yeah, absolutely. You have such a great sense of humor, which I love. Yes.
God, this lady's simping her hard. Maybe she's a 6.
So who are your role models?
She already told you she doesn't have any.
Oh, that's a good question. So my mother, I was also right. I never really think about, I don't have heroes anymore because I think I was disappointed, the closer you look at other human beings.
So again, just riffing, I know that like 6s can feel disappointed with like their idols or whatever because they have that idea of idols, but the way I'm seeing this more is like 5/8 rejection shit, like maybe object relations even sort of thing, where it's like disappointment in both functions, like disappointed in both parental figures, disappointed in the idea of idols. It's like they don't exist. I have to be my own idol. And the fact that she's a 3, like she clearly has spoken about her family a lot. She doesn't mention her father, which is an interesting note. So she probably has the preferred parent, which is the mom. She obviously doesn't like being told not to shine by her brothers. So her dad was probably like the leader of the male idea about what all that was. She just didn't bring him up. And that's could also be a rejection influence thing where she's just not going to connect with that negative space. She's like, she alludes to it, but she's not actually going to divulge her private turmoil about that. But yeah, the fact that she's like, you know, the more you learn about people, the more disappointing they are, I think does maybe speak to this kind of 5/8 stem potentially. Because if she's a 3-wing 2, then that's a pretty like kind of just objective, cynical sort of, not like in the 6 way where it's like, no, they like hurt me and I can't trust anybody. It's like, I'm just disappointed, Seems more like rejection tinge to me.
The role models, without knowing it, would have been obviously my mum and dad.
Oh, she mentions the dad.
Okay.
They're lovely people. They're lovely people. Though I don't mention my dad, and I clearly have like a kind of hate on for this whole patriarchal oppression of shining of New Zealand, but she didn't make it about her dad, which I do find interesting because I do think that could point again to 3 kind of stuff. 3-wing 2. But she likes nuns.
To Catholic primary schools. There was no husbands, there was no men, they were running the schools, the finances, the everything.
Oh, this thing keeps fucking freezing. This sounds really competency. Like they really impressed me on a competency level. Like they ran schools, they did their own finances, they were women in control of their own lives.
So they were role examples of female empowered females, believe it or not. And they're good women. I'm still in contact with them today, the Maris nuns.
Good women.
Good, sensible women. I don't have any of those horror tales about Catholic nuns, though I'm a...
You can argue that she likes them because they're sensible women, that she has a one fix or something else, but I almost think it's just some bizarre, it's like almost like a weird thing to say as a role model. So, and it also feels weirdly objectively removed from her actual experience in some ways. You know what I mean? It's like she's not really like, she's just like, I admire nuns because they're efficient. They're nice women and they're efficient, which just sort of seems like some kind of 3-wing 2 competency swirl.
I'm not a religious person at all anymore, but I got to give them their due. They were the earliest examples of female empowerment, and my mother. Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you got from them or from anyone else?
Oh, okay, this is super useful because I thought of it this morning, actually. My mother said to me...
While you were rehearsing for your interview.
I was worried about that other people were talking about me or being mean or something. She says...
Okay, so again, this is 6, this could be 6, but this is also 8. 6s and 8s are paranoid, even as fixes. Like I think if she's got 5-wing 6 and 5 and 8 together, it's like power, right? It's like they're concerned about power. And 3 is like, you know, being part of the belonging, being valued. And so you wouldn't want people to talk. I mean, no one wants to be talked about, but it's an interesting example that she's drawn attention to.
Or I was suspecting that people were talking about it. She said, oh, for goodness sake, Lucy, everybody, they're so busy worrying what other people are thinking about them, they're really not thinking about you. That's been a load off my mind for many years, you know. If you just assume people are talking about you, this really negative vortex.
This also seems maybe like a 5-head reframe of just moving into objectivity. You know what I mean? Like, I think you could tell a 6 fix or a 6, they're not really thinking about you. They're worried about their own thing, and a 6 is not gonna they're not gonna accept that.
To think any other way, so.
Especially not with 8 in the mix. No fucking way. 3, 6, 8. Oh no. They're on the hunt. They're on the hunt for who's out to fuck them over.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way of conserving energy in a way.
Mhm.
Conserving energy. Okay, so maybe I will go 8 wing 9 again, but 5 head again.
Time dramatizing, anticipating things that you have no idea.
If you spend time in the messy reactive swirl, the 6 swirl. So again, I think 6 wing 6, her shadow, it's like I don't want to be in that space because we're often like triggered by, or we kind of try to reject in ourselves what is in our wings. So from my little shadow theory, which you can check out on the YouTube and other videos, which I have to continue uploading, and I'm actually working on a bunch of shadow shit. So if you get on my email list at Chico's Matrix, you can gain access to that when it drops. Can't believe I just did a little advertisement, but I've been tapping on it. I've been working on it. I'm okay with advertising myself now. It's okay. It doesn't mean anything about me.
So you can be both.
Yes,
Life is much better when you're relaxed with yourself.
absolutely.
Intention in your life. So how do you know?
Yeah, again, I think that this is like the rejection of the kind of 6y reactive stuff. And also probably wing 2 stuff, wanting to just sort of stay in the positive instead of fixating on what's wrong. And also I just want to like add that like the 3-8 stem has a big thing on family. The same 6-8 and 3-8 have like a whole big thing on family. I've just anecdotally noticed. I don't know. I think maybe it has like the 8 thing of the like the power of like the tribe kind of thing, like that idea of the support. It's like almost like the stronger, more guerrilla version of 6, where like if you have like a 6 and an 8, then they get like hyper fixated on like family. You're going to work in the family business, you're going to abide by the family rules. It's like because 8's like controlling, but if you got like 3 and 8, it's probably more like less that orientation and more just like the idea of the attachment. We're working together. Family is important. 3 wing 2, family is important. And being that like matriarch, perhaps like being like the protector.
That's fine. Well-adjusted, strong, loving, connected.
There we go. There's that wing 2 kind of pride. I think 3 wing 2 with the 8. I have no idea how long this is going to be. I think I've just really like gone on, and I should probably just end this now. So that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, I'm just updating the end because I landed on 8 wing 9 fix for no real reason. And she clearly has like a lot of 7 influence. So I'm just going to go with 8 wing 7 for Lucy Lawless's gut fix. Also accounts for a little bit of the awkwardness that she seems to have in the body. So, and why she's kind of like zany, or I think then maybe another 3 might be. So 3 wing 2, 8 wing 7, 5 wing 6, social sexual for Lucy Lawless.
Her courage will change the world.